Hey, it's your friend. And if you're here right now, I want to tell you something straight from the heart. You're not lost. You're just in the middle of becoming. Maybe you've been waking up with that quiet heaviness in your chest. That feeling that you're meant for more, but you can't quite see what more even looks like anymore. You scroll through social media, and it seems like everyone else has figured it out. Their purpose, their plan. Meanwhile, you're stuck in a loop, doing things that used to make sense, but now feel hollow. I want you to know, you are not broken. You are not behind. You are simply at a sacred crossroads. And today, together, we're going to do something beautiful. We're going to slow down, just enough for you to hear what your heart has been trying to whisper through all the noise. I made this episode for you, the dreamer who's tired, the doer who's confused, the believer who's lost a little faith. Because there's a version of you waiting on the other side of this stuckness, and they're not just surviving. They're free. They're fulfilled. They're finally home. So take a breath. Let's find your way, not by pushing harder, but by listening deeper. Welcome to Limitless Confidence and to a journey back to yourself. Let me ask you something. Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning, stared at the ceiling, and thought, what the hell am I doing with my life? Yeah, me too. And the wild part? You might have a good job, a decent relationship, a working coffee machine. From the outside, it looks fine. But inside, you're in what I call the gray zone, not rock bottom, not on fire with purpose, just meh. It's like emotional oatmeal, bland, confusing, sticky. Let me be the first to say it out loud for you. Feeling stuck doesn't mean you failed. It means you're evolving. In fact, what if I told you that being stuck is actually a sign of something powerful? It's the moment right before everything shifts. Think of a caterpillar. If you sliced open a cocoon halfway through metamorphosis, don't actually do that, you won't find a half butterfly. You'll find bug soup, totally dissolved, chaos, unrecognizable. That's transformation. It doesn't look glamorous. It looks like lying on your floor at 2 a.m., questioning everything while eating cereal with no milk. But here's the good news. Stuckness is sacred. It's the moment your old life no longer fits, and your new life hasn't fully arrived yet. Psychologists call this a liminal space, the in-between. Your nervous system is saying something's off, but your brain hasn't caught up with the new direction yet. And that's where the magic is. Because when you stop resisting that uncomfortable feeling, when you stop trying to fix yourself like a DIY home project, and instead listen, you start hearing the whispers of who you're becoming. Let me share a quick story. There was a girl I coached once. Let's call her Rachel. She was a graphic designer, good at her job, paid well, but she hated it every single day. When I asked her what she really wanted to do, she said, honestly, I want to work with animals, but that's stupid, right? I'm 30. I can't just start over. You know what was stupid? Her thinking, not her dream. Long story short, Rachel didn't quit overnight. She volunteered at a local animal shelter once a week. That led to a weekend certification in animal behavior. 2 years later, she runs her own pet training biz. She's not stuck anymore. She's in flow. What changed? She stopped judging her stuckness as failure and started treating it as a signal. Because here's the truth. No one tells you. When your soul is ready for expansion, your current life starts feeling too small. And yeah, you can ignore it. You can numb it with Netflix, deadlines, TikTok scroll holes. But the ache doesn't leave. It waits. So I want you to consider this. That heavy feeling, that restlessness, it's not a flaw. It's a flare signal from the future version of you saying, "Hey, it's time. Let's grow." Mistake most people make? They fight it. They try to logic their way out of it. They say, "I shouldn't feel this way. I should be grateful." Other people have it worse. And yeah, gratitude is beautiful, but not when it's used to silence your truth. Lesson? Stop fighting the pause. Learn from it. You don't need to hustle harder. You need to listen deeper. Now, once you've stopped resisting, what do you do with that stuckness? Because I know you're not here just for a pep talk. You're here to move forward. And that's exactly what we'll do next. Because in the next part, I'll show you the exact 5-step purpose roadmap. A real-life, boots-on-the-ground way to find clarity, even if you feel like you're starting from zero. Grab your notebook. This is where the fog starts to lift. So, now that you're starting to see that being stuck isn't the end, it's the beginning. The next question naturally is, cool, but now what? Like, what do you do when you know your current life doesn't fit, but you have no freaking clue what would? That's where this comes in. The Purpose Roadmap. 5 small, real, human-sized steps to help you reconnect with what actually lights you up. And no, this isn't one of those 5 a.m. drink celery juice, become a billionaire in Bali plans. This is for the real you. The still have laundry in the dryer from last week. You. The trying to hold it together while pretending I have a plan you. Let's walk through it. Step 1. Feel the pain rush to fix it. I know. Not sexy. But hear me out. Before you figure out what you want, you have to honestly face what you don't. Because most of us numb it. We distract. We keep busy. But that ache, that's GPS. Pain points directly at purpose. What makes you miserable? Where do you feel most drained? What situation keeps looping in your head at night? That's not weakness. That's direction. Example. I once worked with a guy named Brian. Great resume. Terrible Sunday nights. Every week he got a migraine around 6 p.m. Why? Because his job felt meaningless, and his body was protesting louder than his mouth ever dared. Lesson. Your body will always tell the truth your brain is trying to avoid. Step 2. Collect joy clues from your past. Next, go backward. When were you last fully alive? What did 10-year-old you love doing before the world told you to be practical? Don't overthink it. We're not looking for your final job title. We're looking for feelings, energy, pull. Example. My friend Lisa used to choreograph dances in her bedroom at 13. She didn't become a dancer, but she became a creativity coach who helps women reconnect to joy through movement. Mistake to avoid. Thinking your past joy must equal your future career. Nope. Joy is the thread. The outcome might surprise you. Step 3. Visualize your ideal day sensory first. Okay, now we look forward, but not in a vague, vision board, Pinterest way. I want you to drop into your senses. Close your eyes and imagine. It's 10 years from now. You wake up in your dream life. Not fame, not fortune, just peace, purpose, flow. Ask yourself, what do I hear? What do I smell? What am I wearing? Who's in the room with me? What am I not doing anymore? Your nervous system knows more than your logic ever will. Pro tip: don't imagine how you got there. Just feel the there. That's the emotional GPS we're activating. Fun story. One person I coached said she kept seeing a tiny garden, a French press, and a dog. She thought she wanted to launch a startup. Turns out she really wanted a slower life, and now she's a freelance copywriter in Vermont with a rescue lab. Step 4. Take the micro. Move. The 5% shift. This is where most people freeze. But what do I do today? Here's the deal. You don't need a 10-year plan. You need a 10-minute courage burst. Ask, what's the tiniest action I can take that moves me 5% closer? Examples. Want to write a book? Open a doc and title it. Want to move to the mountains? Google rental prices. Want to start a podcast? Record a 2-minute voice memo ranting into your phone. That's it. Why this works? Clarity isn't a lightning bolt. It's breadcrumbs. And every tiny action either lights you up or shuts you down. That's your feedback loop. Step 5. Listen to your body. It's smarter than you think. This one's sneaky powerful. As you take small steps, tune into how your body reacts, not your overthinking brain. Try this. Imagine option A. Feel heavy, contracted. Imagine option B. Feel lighter, curious. That's it. That's wisdom. I call it the freedom meter. -10 equals stuck, dread, tight. +10 equals peace, breath, aliveness. You don't need to be a +10 every day. Just aim for +1s consistently. That's how you build momentum. So many people think purpose is this big dramatic moment. Like someone hands you a scroll that says, "Congratulations, your life's calling is..." Spoiler: no scroll is coming. But the clues? They've been here all along. Your exhaustion, your joy, your curiosity, your longing. This roadmap isn't magic. It's just honest, human, gentle. And if you're still thinking, what if I'm too late? What if I don't have anything special? Let me be clear. You're right on time. And what makes you special is the fact you care enough to ask these questions. Now, in the next part, we'll bridge the gap between that beautiful ideal day vision and your very real, very messy present. Because dreaming is powerful, but living it, even 1 inch at a time, that's where everything changes. Let's go there next. Okay, so now you've got this beautiful vision. You've seen it. You've smelled the ocean air. You've heard the laughter of future grandkids, or maybe just the sizzle of bacon on a lazy Tuesday. And then, reality hits. You snap out of your ideal day and land straight back into unpaid bills, a job you tolerate, and a to-do list that feels more like a threat than a plan. That's where people get stuck again. Not because they don't have a dream, but because the gap between dream and reality feels too wide to cross. So today, we build the bridge, one step at a time. Step 1. Shrink the vision down, but keep the feeling big. Most people make the mistake of trying to copy-paste their ideal day onto real life. In my vision, I live by the ocean, so I guess I need to sell everything and move to Maui. Hold up. You don't need to change your zip code, you need to change your state of being. Instead of asking, how do I make that whole vision happen right now? Ask, what's one small version of that I can live today? Example, ideal, waking up in a beach house. Real, play ocean wave sounds while drinking coffee. Ideal, writing by the fireplace. Real, write in a journal for 5 minutes with a candle lit. Ideal, surrounded by meaningful conversations. Real, text a friend one deep question. The goal, don't try to recreate the entire movie. Just shoot one scene today. Step 2, time, block the dream before it gets buried again. This one's important because even when we know what lights us up, life gets loud. You get pulled into emails, grocery runs, Instagram rabbit holes, and suddenly it's bedtime, and the only thing you manifested was a DoorDash order. So here's the hack. Put your dream on your calendar like it matters, because it does. Even 20 minutes of dream time a day changes the game. Real story. A client named Andre wanted to start a YouTube channel but kept waiting until things calmed down. We scheduled 30 minutes on Tuesdays for him to film just one raw video on his phone. A year later, he has 43,000 subscribers from 30 minutes a week. Lesson: purpose doesn't arrive fully formed. It shows up as something on your calendar. Step 3. Build rituals, not resolutions. Resolutions are about fixing you. Rituals are about honoring you. So instead of saying, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and meditate for an hour and then run 10 miles and become the Dalai Lama by lunch, ask, what daily rhythm would make my future self proud and my current self not hate me? Start with minimum viable magic. 2-minute morning stretch. Journaling 3 words. Today I want. Ending your day with a 30-second gratitude check. Reminder: consistency beats intensity. Think tiny sacred habits, not overwhelming routines. Step 4. Anchor it with a why that moves you. Here's where it gets personal. People abandon their dream when they forget why it matters. So ask yourself, who benefits if I follow through? What version of me gets to come alive if I do this even a little? Example, you're not just working out to look good. You're reclaiming your energy so you can be present with your kids. You're not just journaling. You're staying sane. You're staying you. Let the emotion be the engine. Purpose is personal. It's not meant to impress anyone. It's meant to wake you up. Step 5. Celebrate the tiny wins religiously. Because here's the truth. Most of your life will be made of tiny steps. But most people only celebrate the giant milestones. That's like only clapping at graduation, but ignoring every test you ever passed. So every time you do the scary thing, honor your dream, keep your promise to yourself, pause, celebrate, smile, fist bump the air, tell your dog. Why? Because when your nervous system associates growth with joy, not stress, you're more likely to keep going. So let's be real. You don't need a new career tomorrow. You don't need to burn it all down and move to a yurt. You need a moment today where your future self gets to breathe. That's how you close the gap. One ordinary day at a time, doing something that feels extraordinary simply because it's true to you. And here's the best part. Once you start living pieces of your purpose now, life starts rearranging itself to meet you halfway. It's like the universe says, Oh, you're serious now? Cool, let's go. Now, before we rush ahead, let's talk about something that still trips up a lot of people. The big, nasty obstacles that show up right when you're starting to find your groove. You know what I'm talking about. Fear, doubt, money, people-pleasing, imposter syndrome, in a cute outfit. In the next part, we're going to face them head-on. Because the more you grow, the louder they get. But the good news? There's a way to move forward, even with shaky knees. Let's dive in. Let's pause here. Because just when you're finally gaining clarity, when the fog starts to lift, something else often shows up. Resistance. It's sneaky, subtle, sometimes even dressed up as logic or realism. But it's there, that voice whispering, "You don't have time. You're too old for this. People will laugh. You always quit anyway." And the truth? That voice isn't your enemy. It's just scared. It's trying to protect you using outdated instructions. So let's name what's really going on and unpack the 4 biggest obstacles that stop people from following their purpose before they ever truly begin. First up, fear of not having enough money. This is huge. So many people think they need a huge savings account, or a 6-month plan, or that magical right time when finances line up. But you know what? That time often never comes. I worked with a woman named Sharon, 42, divorced, 2 kids. She wanted to start a wellness business, but every time she got excited, she'd say, "I can't afford to fail." We broke it down. Her dream didn't require a $10K website. It needed a free Instagram page, a Canva logo, and an hour a week. 1 year later, she's making more from her side hustle than her old 9-to-5. The lesson? You don't need money to move. You need creativity and a willingness to start small. Second, fear of what other people think. Oof, this one's universal. Let's be honest, half the time we don't need critics because we've already built one in our heads that sounds like our boss, mom, or that one friend who low-key judges everything. But here's the deal. If you let other people's opinions dictate your direction, you'll build a life that fits their comfort, not your calling. Someone once told me, "If you're scared of what people will say, remember, they're probably too busy worrying what you think of them." And it's true. Most people aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. So go ahead. Be weird. Try the thing. Take up space. They'll get over it, or they'll be inspired by it. Obstacle 3. Imposter syndrome. You know this one. That, who do you think you are? Energy that creeps in the moment you do something bold. Let me be clear. Imposter syndrome is not proof you're unqualified, it's evidence that you're growing. You've stepped into territory your nervous system doesn't recognize yet. That's not wrong. That's evolution. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build by showing up before you feel ready. You want to be the kind of person who follows their purpose? Great. Prove it to yourself in small, messy, imperfect ways, over and over again. Finally, let's talk about the sneakiest obstacle, your old story. That inner narrative that says, you always give up. You're not a finisher. You don't get to have a big life. These aren't facts. They're emotional fossils, outdated evidence from a version of you who was just surviving. But the beautiful thing about stories is they can be rewritten. You can decide that today is the chapter where you stop shrinking, where you stop repeating, where you start showing up for the life that's calling you. Resistance isn't the enemy, it's the gatekeeper. It shows up when you're close to something real. So the next time it whispers, "You can't," just smile and say, "Watch me." Now, if any part of this hit home, if you're sitting there thinking, "That's me," take a second. Let that land. And if this video's helping you shift something inside, don't keep it to yourself. Save it. Rewatch it. Share it with someone who needs a little hope today. Leave a comment and tell me, what voice of resistance have you been believing? And what truth are you ready to replace it with? Subscribe if you haven't yet, not just for me, but for you to stay connected to the version of yourself you're becoming. Because next, we're going to take that clarity, that spark, and talk about how to actually protect it. Not with hustle, but with love. Let's explore what discipline really means and why it's probably not what you think. So now you've started. You've taken little steps. You've faced the doubts, called out the fear, and maybe even surprised yourself a little. But then another challenge sneaks in, one that's not as loud or dramatic as fear, but way more persistent. It's that quiet voice that says, "You skipped a day. You're falling off again. See? You never stick to anything." Let's talk about that. Because this part is where most people quit. Not because they don't care, but because they don't understand what discipline really is. Most of us were taught discipline like this cold, rigid, punishing thing. Like a drill sergeant screaming in your face, or your inner critic dressed up as a productivity guru. But what if we redefined it? What if discipline isn't punishment, but devotion? What if it's not about fixing yourself, but honoring the version of you you're becoming? Discipline isn't about doing it perfectly. It's about coming back again and again because you believe something beautiful is possible. Think about someone you love. When they have a bad day, you don't abandon them. You show up again tomorrow. That's devotion. Your dream deserves the same. I had a client once, Josh, who wanted to write a book. Every time he missed a writing session, he spiraled into guilt, shame, and guess what? More procrastination. So we changed the game. Instead of, "I have to write 1,000 words a day," he switched to, "I'm devoted to giving 15 minutes of presence to this dream, no matter what that looks like." Some days he wrote 2 sentences. Some days, 5 pages. Some days he sat there staring at the blinking cursor, but kept the promise to show up. 9 months later, he had a first draft. And more importantly, he had become the kind of person who keeps showing up for his future. That's the magic of devotion. It builds identity. It shifts the question from, "Did I do enough?" to, "Did I stay connected to what matters?" And here's the thing. Discipline doesn't have to be dramatic. Start with minimum commitment habits, small rituals that keep your dream warm. Think, a 2-minute check-in every morning. How do I want to feel today? 10 deep breaths before checking your phone. A sticky note on your laptop that says, "You're allowed to be new at this." We tend to romanticize the leap, but it's the tiny, boring, consistent actions that actually change your life. And let's be real, motivation will bail on you. A lot. You'll wake up some days and think, "I'd rather scroll for 3 hours or binge 2007 episodes of Top Chef." That's okay, because discipline real, loving, gentle discipline doesn't wait for motivation. It shows up like a steady friend and says, "We don't need to feel like it. We just need to begin." Every time you honor a small promise to yourself, even if no one sees it, even if it's imperfect, you're laying bricks in the foundation of a life that feels like you. And brick by brick, You're building a home for your future. Now, as we head into the final stretch, there's one piece we haven't fully explored yet, and it might just be the most healing part of all. Because even when you're doing the work, staying consistent and feeling purpose click into place, it's easy to feel alone in the process. That's why in our next section, we'll talk about community, not just people around you, but the kind of connection that actually sustains your growth. Because you're not supposed to do this by yourself. Let's talk about that next. You know that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want far, go together. Yeah. Turns out that's not just some motivational poster from a co-working space. It's neuroscience. We are wired for connection. And yet when we're struggling, changing, or chasing something that feels deeply personal, we isolate. We tell ourselves, I don't want to burden anyone. No one will get it. I should be able to figure this out by myself. Sound familiar? Let me say this clearly, with love. That mindset is a lie, a dangerous one. Because nothing slows down your growth like loneliness. Not the good kind, not solitude or reflection, but that aching silence where you start doubting your own voice just because no one else is around to echo it. Here's the hard truth. You were never meant to carry your purpose alone. Growth might be personal, but it's also collective. Think about the moments you felt most energized, most confident, most alive. Were you truly alone? Or were you seen, heard, and mirrored by someone else? There's a kind of clarity that only comes from saying something out loud and having someone nod and say, "Me too." Let me tell you about Mia. Mia was stuck for years working a job that drained her, dreaming of becoming a therapist but feeling too old, too late, too underqualified. What changed? She joined a small online accountability group. That's it. 5 strangers, weekly Zooms. They didn't give her a magic answer, but they showed up. They believed in her vision on the days she couldn't. That community became her scaffolding. And now she's in grad school, interning at a clinic, and mentoring others who are where she once was. Mia didn't need a mentor. She needed mirrors. People who reflected her strength back to her until she could finally see it too. This is why I always say, find your people, build your crew, join your tribe, even if it's virtual. And no, you don't need hundreds of friends or followers. You just need one person who believes in your future with you. Join a mastermind. Comment on YouTube videos. DM someone who inspires you. Start a Sunday check-in thread with a friend. Say, hey, I'm trying to build something. Can we hold each other accountable? Yes, it's awkward at first. Yes, your voice might shake. But that one moment of courage could open a doorway to consistency, belonging, and momentum that lasts. And here's something else you may not realize. When you commit to your growth, you inspire others silently. You becoming more, you gives people permission to do the same. It's contagious in the best way. You showing up imperfect, brave, messy, and honest could be the exact story someone else needs to hear to stop hiding. That's the ripple effect of purpose. You're not just finding your voice. You're helping others find theirs too. And that's why we don't do this alone. Now you've come a long way in this journey. You've gone from feeling stuck to feeling curious. From curious to courageous. You've learned how to reconnect with what matters. Take tiny steps forward, stay devoted, and invite others along. So, as we head into this final part of our time together, I want to offer you something powerful, something simple. A compass. Not for the outside world, but for your inside world. It's called your true north. And I'll help you find it right after this. All right, take a deep breath with me. Because this next part, it's not about taking action. It's about tuning in. You've heard a lot so far. Frameworks, roadmaps, rituals, real talk. But now, I want to help you tap into something even more powerful. Not your to-do list, not your planner. Something quieter, deeper, already inside you. Your true north. What is that exactly? Well, imagine you're holding an internal compass. Not the kind that points to career titles or dollar signs or what your parents think is safe. This compass doesn't care about performance. It cares about peace. Your true north is that internal pull, that gut-level knowing that says, this is who I am. This is what matters to me. This is where I feel most like myself. And here's the twist. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, or nudges, or shows up as goosebumps when something just feels right, even if it makes no logical sense. So let's try something together. Nothing woo-woo, just you and a few honest moments. Close your eyes if you can, or soften your gaze. Breathe in, exhale, slowly. Now, ask yourself this question. Where in my life do I feel like I'm betraying myself? Where am I shrinking, people-pleasing, performing? And then, where do I feel most free? Where does my energy rise? Even if I'm scared. No filters, no judgment. Just pay attention to what comes up. A place, a person, a memory, a dream you've buried under 10 layers of not now. Sometimes, your true north is hidden in plain sight. A woman I once worked with realized her peace moment was when she painted in silence for 20 minutes a week. That's it. She thought she needed to change her job, her city, her whole life. But actually, she just needed to reconnect with the version of herself who felt fully present. And from that one shift, from that one thread of peace, the rest of her decisions became clearer, lighter, more aligned. That's what true north does. It doesn't make your problems disappear, but it does give you direction. And when you have direction, even uncertainty feels more manageable. Now, let's be honest, you won't always follow it perfectly. Sometimes you'll override your gut. Sometimes you'll take a detour. That's okay. Your true north isn't rigid. It's not judging you. It's always right there, quietly waiting for you to realign. So here's your invitation. When you're stuck between two options, ask, which choice feels more like freedom even if it's scarier? When you're overwhelmed, ask, what would feel 1% more honest right now? And when you're tempted to give up, ask, what decision would my future self thank me for? That's how you keep finding your way, not by pushing harder, but by listening better. You don't need more motivation. You need alignment. And alignment starts with one question, one quiet moment, one tiny course correction at a time. So breathe. Check your compass. You're already on your way home. Now, before we close, I want to leave you with something simple but important. A reminder that this isn't just a video, it's a beginning. And I'll walk with you a little longer. If something in this video made your heart pause, even just for a second, don't let that moment slip away. Tell me in the comments, what's one small scene from your ideal life that you're ready to bring into reality this week? Just one. No pressure, no performance. Just truth. And if this conversation stirred something real in you, Maybe it made you breathe deeper, feel seen, or feel less alone. Then I invite you to save this video. Come back to it anytime you lose your way. Let it be your compass on the days you forget who you are. And if someone you care about is feeling stuck right now, quietly, questioning everything, silently holding it all together, share this with them. Not as a solution, but as a soft hand, reaching out. And hey, if you're not already part of this space, subscribe and stay close. This isn't just a channel, it's a quiet revolution. A place where we stop striving to be more and start remembering that we already are. We're building something beautiful here, and you belong in it.